Hi, this is Pete G. Today I'd like to talk to you about a trip my wife Helene and I took to Europe recently. First stop was Munich, Germany. A beautiful place, no doubt. Here's a shot of our home away from home for 12 hours. And the beautiful airport in Munich. Beautiful open air, clean as a whistle. And the town itself was remarkable. The architecture is off the hook. This is the old country, and because of the old country, the buildings are just unbelievable. Beautiful town squares, no cars like you see here. See all the bicycles, lots of bicycles in and around the area. And we just saw some beautiful, beautiful things, like this tower right here. We're going to spend a few days in Munich before moving on to Prague, and one of our destinations you'll see shortly is a castle. And here's a picture of Helene smiling as she did the entire trip. And it's hard to describe some of these things, so we just give it to you in pictures. As we walk through these amazing cities, you don't know what to take pictures of. Here's a nice guy. He lost part of his pants, of course. And then we visited the Hofbrauhaus. Opened in 1529, and directly across the street, talk about old and new, is the Hard Rock Cafe. And here's our friends. They're in an oompa band, as you can hear in the background. This place is huge, huge. And we had a great time there. There's Helene again with the smile. And we just had to take a picture of this guy. He looks like Germany. We had some traditional food in the beer garden outside. The only time it rained, it drizzled while we were sitting outside the first time the whole trip. And here's a shot of a art museum. And if the Titanic didn't know where its propeller was, we do. It's unbelievable how big that was. And a shot over the river that I just had to take of my wife. This, I think, is called the Aflac Cafe. It's where we ate our first meal in Germany outside as we did the whole time. And here's Helene standing next to the sign for the Marienbrook, which is a bridge overlooking on one side this unbelievable waterfall. And the other side, Neuschwanstein Castle. 1850s or so edifice, and you just can't believe they built it out of this thing, out of this mountain. Here's another castle right next door to it, as if we didn't have enough. This was about an hour and a half from Munich. And we spent the better part of a day enjoying the grounds and taking the tour. You have to wait for the tour in your language, we found out. And but it's just unbelievable. The facility, the building itself is just unreal. And it's beautiful, as is my wife. This is overlooking a place where we waited for our turn to get inside the castle. And here is that Marienbrook Bridge we just showed you from the castle itself. It's almost scary to see all those people on there. Again, an amazing building. We learned that even though it was built in the 1850s, it had running water and and central heating, things that you wouldn't ever believe in that time. And it's just an amazing, amazing building. We weren't supposed to take pictures, but we snuck a couple inside the kitchen just to give you an idea how this building was. It was amazing. It was an amazing day. The weather was beautiful. And finally we had to leave the castle, and shortly, actually the next morning, we got in our car and headed out to Prague, Praha as they call it. The trip there was unbelievable. We wound on some single lane roads, but we arrived at our hotel, which is gorgeous. Helene just loved this room. It was way big, very inexpensive, courtesy of the exchange rate. She loved the sink, so we got a picture of the sink. And we had a balcony that overlooked the city. The only room in the hotel that had a balcony. And here we're looking down at the courtyard of the hotel, and some pictures of the rooftops that we could take from our balcony. Prague was definitely the most beautiful city we ever saw. Here's some Yankee fan again. Streetcars, which you'll find out later had played a part of our trip. And everything that we saw, everything was just beautiful. And the people were great, more welcoming than they were in Germany. And the buildings were, again, off the hook. Much of Prague had been damaged during various wars and been rebuilt, but so much of the old country still remains exactly as it was hundreds of years ago when it was built. You couldn't build these things today. And even at night, it was just remarkable looking. Our hotel was at the end of a road. There was no more street. Everything else was walking through town squares such as this. Beautiful place. And again, another Hard Rock in an old building. And we enjoyed a meal there outside. On our way to the Charles Bridge, which you'll see momentarily, we passed these buildings that we're showing now, but there was a place called the Astrological Clock in the Old Town Hall. And here's pictures of it. It's an amazing thing, and people crowded around. We didn't know why, but very shortly, as you'll hear and see, the clock chimed, obviously, like any other big clock like that. Watch this, gentlemen. This is a sculpted person moving in a clock that was built, I'm not exactly sure, 1572 I think is what they told us. Crazy. And we had to wind through these beautiful places you see it now from our hotel to get to this Charles Bridge, which led to the old part of Prague. And just look at these things, unbelievable every bit. And here's the last square just before we get to the bridge. And now this is the entrance to the Charles Bridge. No cars, of course. Helene's having a great time. And here's a gentleman playing unbelievable music on glasses. This is a look over one side that's like a little bit of a waterfall. Here's a look at the Prague Castle, or from across the river. Another shot of the river, of course. There were vendors and even the sculptor and things, as you'll see in a second. Watch this. On the bridge, this is on a walk bridge. These bronze statues and crucifixes and all that, just unbelievable. And as we get to the other side of the bridge, we make our way up towards the Prague Castle, which is, again, unreal. And just some shots of the things that you see artists on the side of the road and like. And here we are at the Prague Castle, kind of looking back towards the river and the rest of Prague overlooking. It's a beautiful sight. And then we walk into, this is one of multiple things at the Prague Castle. This is called the St. Vitus Cathedral. I mean, we have beautiful cathedrals in the United States as well, but this place is just ridiculous. It's beautiful. This is just outside of the square. We got a little out of order here in the pictures, but here's a picture of the entrance to St. Vitus. You saw the inside. It's beautiful. This is the outside. The architecture is just unbelievable, and it goes on forever. Like, I don't know who could have thought of these things, let alone the thousands and thousands of people who could have worked on these. I mean, look at this. Now we're back inside. The height of the building, its grandeur is ridiculous. The marble and granite and how it's been maintained over these hundreds and hundreds of years. This is a bronze statue. Here's the bottom half. It takes two pictures, and here's the top half of it. Just beautiful. It's very religious. These are pipes for a pipe organ. And here's the outside to give you an idea of the grandeur of this particular building inside a big square. And it just goes on and on and on. It almost looks like a roller coaster, the top of this thing. It is crazy. There's also, I want to say it's called the Cathedral of St. Wenceslas. You remember the song of King Wenceslas? Well, this is his cathedral, if you will. Much more plain, or here's his crown. Just a simple cathedral, again, inside Prague Castle. The next shot on our way back to Charles Bridge is of the graffiti wall. Helene loved this. She's a very big fan of John Lennon. And this graffiti wall is alive. It changes all the time. And we had to take a picture there. And here's the bridge with locks on it on our way back to the John Lennon pub. Again, heading back towards the bridge. Yellow Submarine, who could do without that? Next stop, Vienna. The drive between countries is beautiful. The countryside's unbelievable. And we've got a big surprise shortly after coming to Vienna. Little accident with just a small but red streetcar. It's unbelievable. We were making a turn. The streetcar hit us after we made our turn. And why did that happen? I'll tell you in a second. But first, our first souvenir of Vienna. A police report. What else? John Kerry was in town. We were detoured. And that's what, made us be where we were to get in the accident. And here's our hotel. It's beautiful. That's a view from the window. Hotel Kasserine Elizabeth. And Vienna's a beautiful place as well. Different, but beautiful. Our hotel was in an area called Stephenplatz. Named, I assume, after Stevensdom, this cathedral, which is off the hook. The center of the town is right around that. There's a shot at night. This guy seems to be following us everywhere. Helene, her big smile with the church in the background. Just beautiful. And then they have a Jewish section of Vienna. And this is a Jewish cemetery, and it was awe-inspiring. These headstones went on forever, and they were from the 14th century and earlier. And here's a little historical carriage right outside. And these are names of people buried in that cemetery, and walls and buildings and rooms, and went on forever showing that. Shortly we hopped on the subway, headed toward Schönbrunn. This is a collection of museums and gardens and a great zoo. We skipped the museums here because there were others to see, but the gardens, it was just a beautiful day. We walked through these gardens and the like, and we were not going to miss the zoo in Vienna, that's for sure. Here's a beautiful shot of Helene, again with the big smile, little shade. Everywhere you turned, there was something beautiful to see. This is a greenhouse, if you'd believe it. It's massive. But we had to go to the zoo. Here was a disgruntled tourist, and some rays that you wouldn't see, we've never seen in our country. Tropical fish. The big hit you'll see shortly, Helene's favorite, was the pandas. But the fish were beautiful. Something we do see in our country, a little friendly rattlesnake. This is unreal. These are cocoons, hundreds of them, and you can always see butterflies coming out, a turtle, and here's her favorite, the pandas. Honey, could you pass me the remote, please? They just, oh, stop bothering me. You can almost hear them doing this. And, of course, the lady panda was nice enough to go get a water, move around a little bit. These are shot through glass, so they're not perfect, but they are just so unique. And it was they drew a big crowd, and it was very, very interesting. The hippo could care less, but everybody else had a great time. This is a picture of a tiger. We took the picture of the picture because that's the best we could do with the Bengal tiger, an endangered species. But the leopards cooperated much more. Two of them sleeping in awkward position, I would think. But this guy had his eyes open and was nice enough to smile for the camera. What a great shot. We had a great time there. We walked, again, here's this beautiful fountain. I took a little movie. It's not the best movie in the world, but you'll get the idea of how dynamic it is and how large it is. Again, on the same property. At this point, it was very warm, 31 degrees Celsius, of course, and we were ready to jump into this, into the fountain. And then again, a good idea of the buildings and the gardens, and what a good time Helene was having there. And then we went to Belvedere, and we just have to show you this gate. It's just amazing. We always like to pose in front of amazing gates, and if you look at the top, this is unreal. This is the Belvedere Castle. They have what they call the upper, and as you'll soon see why they call it, and lower Belvedere. Now they house museums, but the grounds are unbelievable. The museums had a Gustav Klimt thing going on, and Helene's a big fan. And as we walk back to the underground, we'll give you these shots. This is Helene's favorite place. Not the favorite place in the country, but certainly her favorite supermarket we ran into. Unbelievable. Clean, 2 stories. This is a machine that makes orange juice. And in one of the squares, here's a gentleman making the kids happy with bubbles. Had to take a picture in front of a real Mini Cooper. See how big Helene looks there. And as we were preparing, there's our grocery store in the background, to leave. This is one of the fountains right around the corner from our hotel. And sadly, we did have to leave and head on back to Munich. Just some sights from the road on the way out of Munich. A little hot air balloon action. And we went and stayed at a little Novotel overnight, just quickly overnight, so we could deal with Hertz on our car and go back to the beautiful airport and have a nice young man play the piano for us just before we climb back on an airplane for another 2 days. I think it's 22 hours altogether from start to finish. But what a great trip. You ever have a chance, don't miss the opportunity to go enjoy Europe. We hope this put a smile on your face. Thanks for watching.